Wipe day is the most important time in Rust, as everyone rushes to get to the best locations and loot as quick as possible. This video will look at some of the best strategies when it comes to surviving the wipe day, and how to avoid the dreaded mass deaths that can come with it. Hey guys, Jfarr here and let's get started. So if you're new to Rust, let me break down what a wipe is. Basically, it's when the server gets a complete reset. Everything's wiped clean, including your gear and bases. It's like hitting the reset button for everyone, giving you a fresh start. Now, each server handles wipes differently. Some wipe every week, others every 2 weeks, and most stick to an official monthly wipe, which usually happens when Rust gets its big updates. After spawning in, it's super tempting to start gathering and looting everything in sight. Sure, you get a bunch of loot quickly, but the downside is that you're now loaded with stuff and have nowhere to store it. Plus, I don't know about you, but I definitely play worse in PvP when I'm stressing about losing a ton of loot. If you're playing with mates, this is the time to group up as fast as possible. This will drastically improve your chances of staying alive when faced against hundreds of other fresh spawns popping up at the beach. Now, before you start grabbing anything, the first thing I do after spawning is open my map. I check out where I am and decide if it's worth staying there. Usually, I'm scanning for spots near key monuments, safe zones or other useful landmarks, and I avoid those wide open areas, beaches, and islands where clans love to set up. The faster you find a good spot and get there, the better your chances of claiming a prime location for your base and securing your loot. If you want a safer place to start, I suggest heading deeper into the map, away from where you spawned. At the beginning of a wipe, everyone's spawning up on the same side of the map, the early game zone, which is different for every map. If you can push past that area earlier on, your odds of survival go way up. Rust is all about unpredictability, so sticking to one rigid plan won't get you far. However, generally I suggest avoiding PvP as much as possible during the initial setup. Sure, you might snowball, or you'll most likely lose your inventory and start all over again. Focusing on building your first base gives you a better chance to come out successful, allowing for a smoother and more predictable progression. Once you have a secure spot, you can start gathering items without the constant fear of losing everything. After you spawn, head to the road and start harvesting red barrels for low-grade fuel. Our plan is to use this low-grade fuel to power a train and get away from the spawn area and deeper into the map. Alternatively, you could try running the roads in search of a bike or motorbike parked at a warehouse or supermarket. However, this can be riskier and less certain compared to finding a train. If you come across any cloth or food on the way, grab it. Cloth is especially important because it allows you to craft sleeping bags, which will let you set a respawn point. Once you've got some low-grade fuel, open your map and locate a rail line. Head over to it and find a train. If you move fast, you'll likely be one of the first players to reach the inner zones. When you've found a good spot far enough from the initial chaos, hop off the train and place a sleeping bag down. This gives you a fallback option if things go bad, so you can respawn nearby instead of tracking across the map again. Once you've found your ideal base location, start gathering wood and stone to craft some basic stone tools. As soon as you've got your tools, don't waste time, get straight to gathering more stone and wood. You'll want to craft a building plan, a hammer, a wooden door, a key lock, and a few wooden boxes for storage. For my initial base, I like hiding it away to avoid as many interactions as possible while I get set up. I either find low dips in the terrain or gaps in the cliff to hide my base within. A solid starter base design is a 1x2 with an airlock at the front. If you're playing with a group, you might prefer a 2x2 with an airlock, which costs a bit more in resources. Set up your door and key lock right away, so that only you can open and close the door. Make sure the airlock door opens inwards and the inside door opens outwards. This ensures if both doors are open, it creates a barrier. Now that your base is secure, craft a tool cupboard and place it down to claim your land. Congratulations, you've just made it through one of the most critical and often painful stages of a wipe. While everyone else is busy fighting on the roads and getting killed, you've already secured a base, which acts as a checkpoint and ensures you can keep progressing. But remember, your base is still vulnerable with that wooden door up front. Other players can easily smash or burn it down. Your next priority should be finding metal ore, cloth, animals for their fat, or red barrels in order to craft low-grade fuel. This will allow you to craft a furnace and start smelting metal ore into metal fragments. Once you have enough, you can craft the sheet metal door and code lock, making your base much more secure. If you're playing with others, the code lock also lets everyone in your squad use the door. Now that we've got a secure base, you should have at least crafted a bow and arrow by now for protection. At this stage, keep an eye out for players roaming around your area. If you spot someone, take them out as soon as you can to reduce the competition. Since we're deeper into the map, if you kill them, they probably won't be back unless they've got a sleeping bag nearby. Next, start roaming the roads and searching for toolboxes and crates. These can give you some great tools, armor, and weapons right off the bat. Also, keep an eye out for rope. It's super useful for crafting wooden armor. Running roads is also a great source of components and scrap. In my dedicated scrap guide, I've found roads can offer large amounts of scrap depending on if they haven't already been ransacked. Just run the roads, hit the barrels and loot the crates. Then recycle the components at a Monuments recycler to get a large reward. I've also found that water treatment can offer you the fastest scrap per minute out of any method, with a single run averaging me 406 scrap after recycling and only taking 2 minutes. With the scrap you've collected, start crafting workbenches and learning as many blueprints as you can. Remember, the blueprints you unlock will stick with you for the entire wipe, even if you get raided. So don't leave large amounts of scrap sitting around. Just having the level 1 workbench placed down allows us to craft a nail gun and nails. This weapon is cheap and extremely useful early game, allowing you to quickly take down players when they might only have a bow or melee tool. Here's some must-have unlocks I recommend getting for the level 1 workbench. Along with the level 2 workbench, which now features a 10% unlock tax. Whether you unlock these through the tech tree or finding them in the world depends on your luck and playstyle during the wipe. You might also need to unlock additional items like ladders and a ladder hatch, if you're planning a base with safer vertical access. Finally, as soon as you can, move out of your starter base and into a main base design that you've planned. The quicker you do this, the better your chances of securing your spot and bunkering down to avoid early raids. If you haven't found one, I highly recommend purchasing a jackhammer early on from the outpost or travelling vendor. This will drastically speed up your stone farming and help you build a bigger and more secure base. Once you've established your base, it's a good idea to start placing external tool cupboards around it. This prevents other players from griefing you and potentially forcing you to relocate. A solid TC design involves enclosing it within a stone triangle and filling it with half a stack of stone, which will keep it from decaying for just over 4 days. I cover more about effective TC placement in a dedicated building guide. Like I said previously, you can't overlap 2 TCs directly. However, you can build out from one TC and expand its radius into another's. Therefore, you can make it so the external TCs overlap your base. After securing the core TC around your base, consider placing additional TCs a bit further out. These can be walled off and positioned in areas where you anticipate other players might try and build. For these, add half a stack of stone or less, which will deter other players from building in these spots for the first few days of the wipe. This small investment of stone can help keep your surroundings quieter and reduce the risk of door campers. Let's now consider going for an early oil rig run. If you're a solo, I recommend targeting the small oil rig, while teams might want to take on the large oil rig for bigger rewards. Just keep in mind the large oil rig has 26 scientists to deal with, compared to 15 for the small. For the small oil rig, our goal is to get a blue keycard for the top floor door. For the large oil rig, you'll need a red keycard, which means you'll first need to grab the green and blue keycards from some beginner monuments. The green keycard can usually be found at the gas station or supermarket. Then head to the harbour for the blue keycard. Finally, you can pick up the red keycard at the water treatment plant. Before heading out, consider getting an easy pump shotgun at the fishing village by completing the Dive Master's underwater bounty mission. First, you'll need to buy a scuba set, which can vary in price due to the dynamic pricing. Once you've got a set, complete the mission by reaching the waypoint and returning to the NPC. Your reward would be a pump shotgun with 16 shots. To reach the oil rig, you can either buy a boat for 125 scrap, find one on the beach, or swim over if you aren't so lucky with the boats. To get up the oil rig, we have 2 main methods. First, you could use your diving tank to go underwater and head up the central ladder to climb to the top. This lets us avoid taking out the front guarding scientist, who can serve as an early warning system. If anyone approaches, we'll hear him shoot. We can then use the ladder room as a safe place to heal and filter the scientists. Alternatively, we can go from the bottom up, taking out the bottom scientist from a distance and then hopping up on the oil rig. Once aboard, take it slow. Scientists are likely to drop more shotgun ammo and meds, so you can keep going. Before each push, make sure to heal back to full health. Hold corners and bait the scientists into coming around. If they're at a distance, use arrows to conserve your bullets. After you've taken down all the AI, open the keycard door and grab your loot. On the small oil rig, you can expect one military crate and an elite crate, while the large oil rig could have 4 military crates and 2 elite crates. Most players these days are pretty wary of trap bases. They usually only work once per player unless they're brain dead. Plus, trap bases can backfire, causing people to grief you out of frustration. That's why you might prefer setting up what I call investment bases. These are bases you build around the area you're living in. On the surface, these bases look abandoned and nothing special, which is exactly what we want. Early in the wipe, players are more likely to take over these bases, thinking they're scoring a quick and easy start without wasting their own resources. But here's the twist. Hidden underneath is an underground compartment where we can spawn in. The idea is simple. Let the players take over the base and use it for a day or so, farming and playing as they normally would. When you think they've logged off or left the base for a while, you can spawn in using a sleeping bag hidden in the underground compartment. There you'll have a crate stocked with 23 wooden spears or 7 pickaxes. Start digging away at the ceiling. Once you break through, you'll have full access to the base and all of its contents. They'll likely have more tools and resources for you to dig out with. If you manage to do this with multiple bases, you'll see why it's an investment. You've essentially got a group of players unknowingly working for you, gathering resources without you lifting a finger. Here's how to build the base demonstrated. Early raids are a great way to take out neighbouring competition and leapfrog in progression as we take everything the player has worked for. It's recommended you come prepared with the free pump shotgun you can get at the fishing village, a double barrel shotgun, or whatever weapon you have, as you may face the homeowner or counter raiders. You'll want to place sleeping bags around the area if you're not nearby your home, so you can quickly get back into the action if you die. You can even use a small stash next to your bag to store a spare weapon, so you can quickly re-gear and take out the enemy while he's looting you. Early raiding is made much easier since a lot of players are still on wooden doors. We can use either 2 Molotovs, which is the fastest way to get in, or if we can't afford that, we can use an Ioka pistol and 45 handmade shells, which can take around 2 minutes to get in. Always expect an airlock, so come prepared with double the raid resources. If you have to raid a sheet metal door, you will need to start farming for sulfur, cooking charcoal, and have enough scrap to unlock the bean can grenade and satchel in the level 1 workbench. To get through a sheet metal door, it will require us to craft 4 satchels, which will cost 1920 sulfur, 2880 charcoal, 40 cloth, 320 metal fragments, and 4 rope for all the components involved. If we wait too long and the base has garage doors down, it's going to be a lot harder to raid with satchels, now taking 9 of them. Therefore, it might be time to watch my raiding guide to get a more comprehensive review on what's needed to raid these bases. And that's it. Thanks guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.